you at like
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Football Happy Hour. I am your host, Ricky Valera. On today's episode, we are going to continue taking a look at some rankings. Today, we're going to dive right into wide receivers. If you have not been following along over the last couple of weeks, you should be. But if you haven't been following along over the last couple of weeks, about 3 weeks ago, I think we did quarterbacks right before the Super Bowl. Then we did the Super Bowl show. And then last week, we covered the running back position. Today, we're going to go over Matthew Fox's top 10 Dynasty wide receivers. And then I'm going to go over my top 10 receivers in football. Like I said, my list is different from Fox's list. Fox's list is probably a little bit more important than my list, obviously, as we head into this offseason. We're going to continue this series. Next week, we'll take a look at the tight end position, which I found it interesting to find 10 tight ends that I liked, but I ultimately settled in on 10 of them. But we'll be talking about
oh no. Well, it looks like Ricky must be having some kind of issues. Hopefully he will be back pretty soon. Oh, there you are. I couldn't tell if it was you or me.
So, funny enough, I joked with Matthew Fox ahead of going live on the air that I was having some technical. Well, I said that there were supposed to be thunderstorms, and I said the clouds were nice and pretty outside, and yeah. So I just jinxed myself and got thrown off the air. Instead, what I decided to do was I decided to hop onto my hotspot, which cannot be interrupted. Is it? All right. Well, that said, like I was saying, I'm joined as I am always. If this is you're getting some spotty stuff, I apologize in advance. Like I said, I didn't realize the storm was going to come at a snap of a finger. But that said, we're going to cover our top 10 wide receivers. I am, and then dynasty rankings for Matthew Fox. How are you, Matthew Fox? Whoa.
You know, I'm doing all right. We experimented with our fun backgrounds. You know, I'm living the cruise ship life, which is coming for me in 90 some odd days. You're at some kind of classy, elegant house today. You know, just the difference between us. I want you to play that piano in a little while. Just wheel over there.
Oh, don't worry. I planned on
put on the Babylon soundtrack and fake your way.
So yeah, I plan on rocking right into it. We are excited to jump right into our wide receivers in just a few minutes. I'm trying to remember. We're still on the verge of that nowhere land of the off season. You know what I'm saying? Like we're coming up on some things that are going to happen soon, but nothing's really happened. It's going to be interesting to see. Aaron Rodgers saw a shadow, so he should be making an announcement very, very soon, possibly.
Did you see a couple of people have said he's retiring? It kind of makes you wonder, like, if that's the way that ends up leaking out. I'm also surprised we haven't seen more franchise tags so far. They still have a little bit of time to get those in, but we've only seen Evan Ingram and Daron Payne so far.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see how certain things will or will not unfold. I mean, they do have some time. Obviously, you know, most teams want to work out that long-term contract before the potential of franchise tag. Obviously, in the case of the Ravens, I mean, if you look at it, it's one of those things that you consistently see kind of unfold where you're interested to see what happens, how how it unfolds. And of course, you had the GM calling out people on the Rave. Like that team seems like they are dysfunctional, but it should relate into a contract coming. But without further ado, let's dive right into our wide receiver. We'll get into this in case some crazy stuff unfolds here at my household. But I think I'm okay for now. That being said, let's jump right into the receivers, and we'll do what we did last week. Matthew Fox is going to share his top 10 dynasty wide receivers. I'm going to share my top 10 receivers in football, but he's going to start with his 10 through 6 in dynasty. I'll go 10 through 6 in the wide receiver position, and then 5 through 1, like we did the week prior. That said, Fox, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so number 10 for me is Garrett Wilson. Coming in, had a lot of high hopes for him as a rookie. He caught 83 passes for 1,103 yards and 4 touchdowns with a pretty meh quarterback situation. Really looked impressive there. They're building a nice young offense. Hopefully they'll find a way to remember that Elijah Moore's on their team in 2023. They also will get Breece Hall back, but more importantly, it looks like they're really committed to improving the quarterback position. I think that's only going to help Garrett Wilson from here. Number 9 for me is T. Higgins. I know there's been a lot of potential swirling trade rumors. The Bengals have pretty well come out and said they don't plan on trading him, and that's a good thing. He and Jamar Chase form one of the best combos in football. He has really continued to thrive despite the presence of Chase in that offense with Joe Burrow. I like T. Higgins a lot. He is one of a pair of receivers for the Bengals that are in the top 10 for me, and 2 pairs of receivers I actually have in the top 10. Kind of tells you where we're at. Number 8 for me, Stephon Diggs. I love what he's doing with Buffalo. He's been the primary weapon there for Josh Allen. They have great chemistry. He's put up some great numbers. I think Buffalo is going to continue to be a contender. Some people are minorly worried they're going to go get another wide receiver. I think that's probably only going to help him because right now Gabe Davis and the inconsistency from Dawson Knox and Isaiah McKenzie wasn't enough to pull coverages away from Stephon Diggs for the same reason that T. Higgins and Jamar Chase help each other and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill help each other. You can have 2 great receivers and have that benefit one another. Speaking of Waddle, he is my number 7. There was another question, was he going to get hurt by the addition of Tyreek Hill? He didn't get hurt last year. He looked good. I think the only big question I have for him and Hill is, can Tua stay healthy? As I've mentioned before, some worries there, but that offense looks great, and those 2 guys look great in there. I don't think they're going to keep Mike Gesicki. That's going to focus even more of the pass game through those 2 wide receivers. And number 6 for me, A.J. Brown. Made the transition over to Philadelphia. Looks great there. He's part of another great duo of receivers with Devonta Smith. They also have Dallas Goedert at tight end. He has been great with Jalen Hurts, and I think that continues.
Yeah, it was interesting to really – so when I looked at my rankings, I feel like my top 6 on personal rankings for wide receiver was solid, right? You know what I mean? I felt solid. Whether the order was right or not, I wasn't 100%. But when I got through that 7 to 10 range, there's like 11 to 15 range where I feel like any of those 9 guys in the real football aspect of things could be in that 7 to 10 range. So I went back and forth. And again, reminder for everybody listening at home, Fox diving into the dynasty world. I'm just diving into ranking these wide receivers, how I feel like they're produced on the football field. I got coming in at number 10, I got Terry McLaurin. I like him. Consistent, strong, great receiver. Maybe one day he'll have a quarterback. I don't know when that'll be because now he's got a midget.
He already does. Yeah, Sam Howell.
Maybe one day he'll have a quarterback. And, if you can imagine if he had a quarterback on that roster that can throw him the ball consistently and get him the ball, imagine what his stats would be that way, right? You know what I mean? He still produces at a high level. It reminds you of like DeAndre Hopkins for a lot of years down in Houston, who consistently produced. It didn't matter who was throwing him the ball. He would still get his. Number 9, I've got Mike Evans. Just the consistency factor of Mike Evans. What's going to be interesting is to see what happens to Mike Evans now. But people forget that Mike Evans was a producer in the world of fantasy and on the football field prior to Brady being there as well. I mean, I think it's like 7 straight years over 1,000 yards. Very, very impressive mark for him. Coming in at number 8 is a guy that I fluctuated a lot. And honestly, I almost went higher. I just didn't know who to put him over. And it's a guy that you talked about, AJ Brown. I think that this man is a physical specimen on that football field. And watching him play this year with an actual quarterback, sorry, Ryan Tannehill fans, was something that was impressive. Obviously, he does get the help from being opposite of Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. Those guys do help whenever you're on that football field, like Fox mentioned earlier. It's with Diggs, like it would be great for Diggs to have somebody opposite of him. But yeah, AJ Brown, somebody very impressed me very, 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 very much this season. And I look forward to having him in that Eagles offense for another year. Number 7, I got CeeDee Lamb, a guy that I've loved coming straight out of college. I like him a lot. Another guy that could benefit from another receiver being on that roster that's actually talented, right? You know what I mean? I need that a lot because Lamb is kind of not reaching his full potential. With Cooper gone, he didn't struggle per se, but that the offense struggled to click on all cylinders. Coming in at number 6, Stephon Diggs. Not much you can say about Diggs. Diggs, consistent, strong. It'll be interesting to see if this little, Cinderella, or maybe this little offseason spat of when he ended the season has any effects on the team overall. I don't think it will, but football's a competitive sport. Shocker. You want to win football games. Emotions are going to flare up. People forget about that. But Stephon Diggs at number 6. Any thoughts on my 10 through 6 so far?
No, you have some interesting players there. Terry McLaurin, for me, is always a little bit difficult to rank for Dynasty because of the offense and the quarterback situation and stuff. I'm excited about Eric Bieniemy, but I also don't know exactly what they're doing offensively. I still have him, up in my top 24, but not
sure.
quite as high. Not because I don't like the talent, but just because I don't have incredible confidence about succeeding. It's the same way, for me, I actually have Devontae Adams slightly outside of my top 10. And it's not because I don't like him as a player. It's just I don't know what their offense, their quarterback situation, or anything's going to be.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I Waddle, somebody I really wanted to put in my Waddle. I flip flop with him and Terry McLaurin. Godwin is somebody I like a lot. Metcalf, somebody I like a lot. Keenan Allen, another guy I seem to like a lot on the football side of things. But all right, give us your 5 through 1 on that dynasty side.
Okay, so 5 for me is CeeDee Lamb, the guy that you had up in your grouping of players. I really like him. I like the potential. I actually think maybe moving on from Kellen Moore might end up being a good thing. It just felt like they got into too many weird ruts. I'm hoping they can find a way to more maximize that offense. It's going to be interesting. I don't know that they keep Dalton Schultz. I think they're going to make a push to keep Pollard. Questions at wide receiver. They bet on Schultz and Michael Gallup thinking that was going to be enough to fill that Amari Cooper void. It wasn't last year. And their gamble they kind of took on James Washington. He didn't end up really ever panning out for them. So I think there's some work to be done for them on the offensive side of the ball, maybe on the offensive line as well. Number 4, Tyreek Hill. We thought moving to Miami might diminish things, especially playing opposite another big receiver in Jalen Waddle. Didn't do a thing. He still looked great. He still looks like a potentially dominant player. Again, the only questions I have is, can Tua be healthy and be productive? Because when all 3 of those guys were out there, it was incredible for Miami last year, and they were a real contender. Number 3 for me, Cooper Kupp. Coming off of an injury, probably for the first time in a couple of years, has more of a shaky QB situation. I'm going to be curious if they can keep Baker Mayfield there to have a quality backup. Stafford says he's coming back, that he's feeling healthy. I like that Sean McVay offense. Cooper Kupp has been incredibly dominant, was dominant again last year before he got injured, but I slide him back a little bit because he's getting older and because of some of the issues for the Rams. Number 2 for me is Jamar Chase. Just an incredible talent. Love the situation there with Joe Burrow. T. Higgins doesn't diminish his value. He has just great over-the-top value, has real potential to be wide receiver 1. But right now for me, I still have Justin Jefferson as wide receiver 1. He's just been a PPR machine, puts up huge yardage, big performances and numbers. Minnesota doesn't look like they're going anywhere in terms of being a competitor in the next couple of years, and neither does Jefferson. He was probably a steal in rookie drafts the year he went out, because I think about all the people that took Jalen Reagor, Jerry Jeudy, and CeeDee Lamb, almost consensus universal above him. So that is my top 5. What do you have for me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Apparently, you disappeared into that fancy living room.
I know.
You looked like Harry Potter sucked into the wishing well there.
It's hilarious. I mean, as long as you can hear me, we're good here. I think my power officially went out now. But that being said, my 5 through 1, if I can read on my piece of paper here. At number 5, again, this is something that I struggled with mightily. This is hilarious. The fact that hang on here. Hang on. Give me a second here, y'all. Give me a second. This is technology for you guys here.
It's the ghost of Ricky's past.
It is. We have a ghost. Isn't that a movie? That was a movie.
By the loosest definition.
Here we go. Here we go.
It's Ghostface.
This is even better. Hello. All right. So for my top 5 receivers in the NFL, like I said, I struggle with my 5, but we're going to go. This is hilarious. We're going to go number 5. I'm going to go Justin Jefferson. One that might be just a little bit of a controversial take. I like Jefferson a lot. I just like some of the other guys' talent a little bit more. Jamar Chase at number 4, Cooper Kupp at 3, Tyreek Hill at 2. I am a lot higher on Tyreek Hill as a receiver based on what he did last year. When he left Patrick Mahomes, there was a lot of concerns whether or not, you get a lot of concerns. Is that guy a producer of that system? Is he a producer of as good as Patrick Mahomes is, et cetera, et cetera? However, we saw what Tyreek Hill was capable of doing this past season. He's just as deadly on the football field. I don't think it matters who the quarterback is. Obviously, for fantasy purposes, you want it to be a compatible quarterback. But number 1, I got Davante Adams. I think Davante Adams is the best receiver in football. I think it's hands down. I agree with Matthew Fox 100% on the dynasty level things. It's kind of scary. It's downright scary to worry about the potential of what you got there, because we don't know what's going on with Josh McDaniels. We don't know if Davante Adams might get traded next week because, he accidentally, went to McDonald's and wasn't supposed to. We don't know what happens or the rhyme or reason of why Josh McDaniels is the way he is. But I just want to throw it out here, though. If you have the opportunity to literally watch this episode, we highly recommend just hopping on over to YouTube, because I literally look like Casper the Friendly Ghost as we are recording this episode. But Fox, any thoughts on my top 5 there?
Yeah, so from the receiving standpoint, it makes sense. But where is Tyreek in your father rankings? Is he somewhere between like Tywin Lannister and Walter White?
That's not
No, I like Davante too, as I mentioned. I figured he'd probably be there from NFL. If you knew he was going to have a quarterback, even with what he did with Derek Carr last year, we were a little worried about competition and everything, and he came out and blew everything away, even though they kind of decided that Carr didn't work out. If he ends up reteaming with Rodgers there, I might actually vault him back up in. Because I think they have a 1 to 2 year window of pretty elite production together, but it scares me some of the options that they've kind of bandied about landing there, and just not knowing, as somebody who endured Josh McDaniels thinking Kyle Orton was going to be the answer for a team where he was head coach, it's fair to have some questions.
Yeah, it really is. It's kind of alarming to see. I'm terrified to think about that. But just for them at home, real quick, Fox, can you recap your top 10?
Yeah, so number 10 for me, Garrett Wilson. Number 9, T. Higgins. Number 8, Stephon Diggs. Number 7, Jalen Waddle. Number 6, A.J. Brown. Number 5, CeeDee Lamb. Number 4, Tyreek Hill. Number 3, Little Cooper Kupp. Number 2, Jamar Chase. And number 1, Justin Jefferson.
I love it. I love it a lot. Let's see here. Obviously, for those of you, we're going to make a short segment here on our movie talk, just in case something crazy goes down. We want to make sure that this episode does save and we do get out of here and all those other good things. But Have you watched anything this week that you could that you would recommend, whether it's TV or movies?
I've watched some things I liked, but I'm thinking that many of them we can't talk about. But you know what? I think let's turn this into Shrinking Corner, because there are now 7 episodes available as of today. I'm doing my math right. Episode 7 dropped today. I enjoyed the first couple. I know you had seen the whole thing before it came out and just told me it keeps getting better and better. But, right around probably episode 5 a couple weeks ago, I realized I was kind of pushing my chips in. It makes sense that it comes from the creative team behind Ted Lasso. If you're not watching this show, you got to give it a chance. Jason Segel, Harrison Ford, Jessica Williams, Krista Miller, they're all doing probably some of their best work.
It's brilliant. Like I love the way they handle it.
I laugh and cry every episode now.
Did you watch the whole season now?
I did. I watched it all this morning.
Episode 9, the end of episode 9.
Yeah.
Folks, I'm telling you guys think that if you've watched it so far, if you haven't watched it, you will cry, laugh throughout almost every single episode, especially in the back half of the season. It's some of the strongest writing. That balance. Brett Goldstein directed and wrote to episode 7, which most of you do know probably from Ted Lasso, but it's one of my favorite shows that I've seen. It's just brilliant. Like the acting, the writing, the handling of specific, whether it's mental health, whether it's dealing with loss, relationship, a father-daughter relationship. How do you handle? Like, it's just so many things to unpack that I love it. It's just truly brilliant. And episode 9 and 10.
I will tease too. There's a Disney Plus movie that opens next Friday that we can start talking about on Monday that I really enjoyed. So look out for reviews. It'll be on the site for me next week. We can finally start posting social media stuff on Monday. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought. Nice family film too.
That said, the movie, I am in a few minutes, as long as I think everything goes well. I haven't checked my email yet, but hopefully the movie theater has power. But I am seeing Scream shortly, which if you're listening to this today, you will see my social media reaction to that here in a little bit, as long as, boxes check off. But that being said, I don't know how I feel about Scream. I know somebody that's seen it and has said it was better than 5, but is that really saying?
That's a low bar. That is a low bar. I am about to rewatch 5. I've had it for a while, and I've always been like, oh, I'll try it again, but never have I been like, oh, I'd like to watch that. And now I feel like I might have to rewatch 4 and 5 because we get Kirby back. So yeah. It's
I don't know.
It's sequel season, but I am excited to go see Creed 3. I know you enjoyed it. You have it the middle leg of the trilogy in your rankings that you released today. Hoping to go see that here in a little bit.
Yeah, I liked it quite a bit. I have it 4th, I think, all time.
Your video is just
Folks, that said, we're gonna cut it short now just because of the world's coming to it. But go see Creed 3 in theaters because I love it. But thank you guys. Sorry for any technical difficulties or anything else. This has just been a whirlwind of an episode. Funny enough, I made fun of the fact that the weather outside was nice before I podcasted, and the world was like, fuck you, apparently. So it's just hilarious how it unfolded. But this episode will be up soon, and thank you guys for listening.
You're just like the weatherman that doesn't sit by